Hey guys, Matt Long here, Second Mile Group. If you haven't already opened up your split screen, go ahead and pause me and do that now. This video is about writing a purchase offer. We are going to use this property, 768 North Cambridge Street, as our pretend purchase. And first things first, we log into Transaction Desk. This class might be a little over the 15 minutes, but wanted to get it all in one. You can always pause it and come back as you need to. So here from Transaction Desk, we're going to create a transaction, and that is going to open up, and we are going to name it. I always name it the client's name and the address of the property. So 768 Cambridge. And the template that we created in the video you watched before goes there, residential purchase. And then it has an import data option. I would definitely use that. You're importing it by the MLS number. So you can highlight that, hit Control-C to copy, and pick armless, residential, Control-V to paste it in. Because we've set up our template with all your information as the buyer's agent, put this as neither, because you're already in there. It doesn't need to add you again. I don't use the wizard, so turn that off and then click Create. And it will do its magic here. New transaction created. And here it's brought in some information for a street name, all the stuff that's in MLS is brought in. So come over here to the left and click on your forms, and this will open up all the forms that you have in that template. For this, we're talking about the purchase contract. So we open up the purchase contract, and it's going to be pre-populated with a bunch of stuff. Before we get there, quick side note, this cover page, this is for the buyer's information. Things for them to review, things for them to know that may or may not apply to the transaction. Don't send that outside of the buyer if it gets accepted. Don't give that to the lender because that can confuse them. So here we are with our purchase contract. A lot of things are pre-filled out. In this case, the buyer's name was not. So Joe Smith, seller it pre-printed at Norbeans LLC, and then it filled in all the property address, assessor number, zip code, and the legal description. If for some reason it doesn't populate this, or you're selling a property that's not in MLS, you can find all of that information under the Monsoon tab on the MLS. And here you see it pulls it up. There's the assessor number, seller name, legal description, and obviously property address. So that's where you find all that if auto-populate's not working. So the next thing we're doing is we're writing how much they're going to offer. Right now in this market, you got to be full price or better, so we're going to go with that. Earnest money. This will vary based on your buyer's preference, but on this purchase level of price, I'd want to see it at least $2,000 all the way up to 1%. So we're going to do $2,500 for these purposes. Earnest money to be applied towards buyer's down payment. Now on yours, that drop down won't show up. It only does because I've written it in there 1,000 times. So earnest money to be applied towards buyer's down payment. And then on line 12 here, we're going to write the additional down payment at close of escrow. And let's say they're going to put 20% down. So pull out my iPhone calculator, 356.9 times 0.2 is 20%. Minus the 2,500 they already put down, so that leaves 68,880 is their additional down payment. And then on this line, we're going to write the total amount of money they're borrowing which is 80% of 356.9. So on our calculator, 356,900 times 0.8 gives us $285,520 is the loan amount, which will be obtained via financing per attached pre-qual. That's exactly how I write it. Nobody is ever confused about what money is going where. Boom, you just know it. Next item on here is earnest money. How's that going to be? Is it going to be a personal check or a wire transfer? Whichever it is, check that box. Keep in mind, wire transfers, they might be charged $20, so they might want to do a personal check. And that's always going to go to the escrow company. As agents, we do not hold on to their earnest money. That goes to the escrow company. Check is written out to the title company. Next selection we're making is close of escrow date. We're going to go with 30 days on this one, which happens to be a Sunday, which obviously won't work. So we need to either push it out to Monday or suck it into a Friday. My advice would be to avoid a Friday closing, because if you go a day late, you've lost that weekend for your clients, and they were expecting to move and they can't. And Monday, title and lenders will not like you if you pick a Monday. So I would suggest confirming with your lender that it can work, but I would shorten it up and do that Thursday. That way, if something goes wrong, you've got Friday to close and they can still move in on the weekend. And if that happens and comes into play, you'll be the hero. Scrolling down, possession, this will always be at close of escrow, 99 out of 100 times. If it's not, contact Josh or I, and we will walk you through how to do that. This next section, addenda incorporated. You're going to have, odds are something in here is going to apply to your transaction. Additional clause, we're going to do a separate video about that. Buyer contingency, we're going to do a separate video about that. Water well, call us when it comes up, we'll cover it. HOA, we'll have a video about that. Lead-based paint, on-site wastewater treatment, solar lease addendum, we'll do a class about those as well. These other things you're really not going to run into. If you do, call us. And if you do run into them, you've got to check the box that it applies. By doing that, you've incorporated it into the offer, and it must be there and executed. The next section is this is a list of items that are called fixtures. They don't belong to the house. They don't necessarily belong to the owner either. So if it's on this list, if it's in the house, it's expected to stay at the house. The big one is wall-mounted TV brackets, not the TV, just the bracket. If you wanted the fridge washer dryer, you would check box here, and you would write either as seen on whatever date that you showed it, or you could, if you wanted to, get the serial numbers for whatever it is and be like, that's a Whirlpool model XYZ123, just to make sure you're getting the right fridge and that they don't swap out for some other fridge during the deal. So that's how you would handle that if they wanted any of those items. Scrolling down into the financing section, like this says, if it's cash, there is no financing, so you skip it. So financing, a lot of this is talking to the lender. Parts of it you're going to fill out are what kind of financing is this? In this case, it's conventional. They're not going to ask for any closing costs. If they were, they'd write it here either as a percentage or as a dollar amount. Right now in this market, if you're asking for closing costs, you better add them on top of the price. Appraisal costs, going to be paid for by the buyer. That's pretty much always. If you were asking for closing cost assistance, is that a part of that or not? And I would put it will be. So this would mean the buyer would pay up front, but they'll get it back out of the closing costs the seller gives them at the end. Title will know what to do with that. Title and escrow, the buyer has the right to choose who it's going to be here in Arizona. Most of the time, your listing agent's going to say, hey, use so-and-so. I would suggest you use the person who's helping you with your marketing. and get all their information on there. Fill this out completely. Facts you probably can leave blank because no one really has that anymore anyway. Prorations, this defaults to at close of escrow. You want to leave it that way. Lead-based paint, if your house is built before 1978, this will apply, and it'll be one of these two. Seller gave you the information already, or seller will give it to you within 5 days. And then these initials need to apply to whichever it is. Built before 78, initial here. Built after 78, initial here. Buyer warranties, that they're not making this purchase based off any verbal representations other than what's disclosed here. I always write none. We went over that in our previous video related to our templates. So we're going to skip that for now. Inspection period defaults to 10 days. If you need to change that, talk to us about why and make sure that you're going to be able to still hit that date before you just willy-nilly shorten that up. More things here about inspection period and how that's all going to work. Home warranty, if they want to order a home warranty, you fill this out. Who's going to pay for it, who's going to order it, always put buyer so that they pick the right coverage. Never just put to be determined. Put in here that it's going to cover the fridge, washer, dryer, pool, and that you want it issued by the company you want it issued by. Old Republic Home Protection is who I would prefer and recommend, and put the price not to exceed, whatever it is, $750. And now who's going to pay for it? Buyer, seller, split evenly, whatever is applicable there. My advice would be have the buyers pay for it because you can lose a deal over $750 in today's market. Remedies we're going to skip because there's nothing to fill out at the moment. Page 8, section 8, you can fill in with anything you want. Again, in the templates we went over, writing earnest money will be deposited within 2 business days after contract acceptance. So that's already there for you. This is a bunch of definitions of terms. Terms of acceptance, I would give at least 24 hours notice. So I'm making this video on the 6th at 2:15. So I would put 5 p.m. on the 7th is when we want our answer back. This is Mountain Standard Time, by the way. Because we did our template, this is already filled out. And because we imported it from MLS, the listing agent's info is also already filled out. So there you have it, going over the purchase contract start to finish pretty quick. Took us 13 minutes. The way that worked out, every page is about 1.5 minutes. So if you need to come back and see what do I do on this certain page, multiply the page number by 8.5 and you should be able to get to that point of the video quickly. So that is that. And if you've got any questions from that, just give us a call. Matt Long, Josh Underwood, Second Mile Group at eXp Realty. See ya.